How it goes if you want to NAIFS employees. We got Tina weed whacking. As you can tell, Granny Wednesday. Just doing this little Nemo yard. And yeah, we've got Tina on the weed whip snipper lawn trimmer out in the field. She's doing really good too. She's cutting down these little septic areas out there, see? It's the last one. There she is. Worker. Here you go guys, another video. I'm Naif from Naif's Low Cost Yard Maintenance. Stop recording video. No. You can definitely start it by telling it start recording video. So that's cool. What else does it listen to, I wonder? Yeah, I'll finger start that one. See if they're listening on this conversation. How you going guys? Another video. So I'm going to talk about small business, employees and managing employees and wages and all that sort of thing. So basically what's been ticking me off recently, there's a lot of hate towards lowballers. I've sort of grown to have this same hate for lowballers. Mine is like a really chunky, small setup, posing as like a big setup. But then when they turn up, they're like pulling their gear out of the back seat of a car or a van or something, you know. There's sort of two ways I look at you can be a lowballer. One, you can be genuinely committed to starting out a business, doing the right thing by people, winning over customers through being hardworking. Someone might disclose to you the price that they pay to have their yard mowed, and you can economically beat that price and, you know, over time increase your productivity and whatever to absorb that amount that you undercut the other person's price. But there's another side to lowballing that I wasn't really aware of, but I've been made aware of it now that I'm in the sort of competition with these people. There's people that just slap up a uniform and make signs or whatever and put on a front that they're a big legitimate business and, you know, enroll staff and all that sort of thing. And really these people are on like a disability pension, or they're a carer or something like that on welfare, and they're not actually a business. And so I've caught on to some of the tactics that they can use and lowball the market and how they're doing it. So these other type of lowballers will call them cowboys. They're not really actual cowboys, but shonky operations that involve people probably legitimately trying to be employed. They're not actually a legitimate business, so they pose the front of being a legitimate business and then over some amount of time, when things don't work out, they're going to shut down their business or change names and start up somewhere else. Fly-by-nighter is another name for this sort of a scenario. But these are the people that are undercutting our jobs, the lowballers, the dirtiest of the dirty lowballers, and I'll tell you why. I've come across this on multiple occasions. If you're lowballing the market, then you're not going to be making as much money as the person that did the job before you lowballed them, right? So the person that did the job before you lowballed them, they're running their business correctly, paying their staff correctly, all their overheads and everything like that are all in their price. The lowballer has no overheads at all whatsoever. Comes along, a job that is normally $350 starting price. I've been told you could pay up to $1,700 for this job. These people are quoting $150. And so then taking in a team of 2 or 3 people, as well as the 2 people that run the company, taking in an extra 2 or 3 workers, and then telling the workers, you'll get paid when we get paid for doing the job or whatever. I think a golden rule to having staff is, as a solo operation, you're going to need to work and work and work and save up and save up and save up. Because basically having that worker will be like having a holiday for you. So you got to have X amount of weeks pay for your worker. I'd advise at least 2 weeks pay, because if you're looking at permanent staff, you can have like a probation period or whatever like that. But you can't guarantee that you're going to lay that person off or whatever immediately. You're going to have to look. I'd give myself 2 weeks pay in case you've got to give them notice or whatever like that when it doesn't work out with them. But you want to have 2 weeks wages for your employee. Your employee should cover their own wages on the first or second day of the week that they're working for you. So you should be able to pay them for the entire week on the first or second day. But you're going to pay them at the end of the week when they've done all their hours and put in their timesheet and everything like that. You're going to pay them like that. But if you've got that worker and you don't have the work for them, you've still got to pay them. So then comes in that business that doesn't have that consistent amount of work, or it's not a consistently busy industry, comes in the casual workers. Now, so who's ever had a livelihood on a casual job? I know growing up and stuff like that, and other people that I know, if you've got a casual job, you've probably got 2 or 3 jobs. Now, some of these people are now in the transition from being parents to being in the workforce, so they're willing to take on these jobs for these small businesses, thinking that at the end of the week they're going to get paid for the work that they've done, $600, say, a week's pay. And the employers turning around and saying, well, we've got to wait till we get paid for this job or this job or whatever. Now, I can tell you straight up, if you've got somebody working for you and you take them onto your job for your business, it's on your back whether that person pays or not. You've got to pay your worker for the time that they've worked for you, regardless whether you get paid for that job or not. I know it's how businesses go broke and how businesses shut down, and your worker might want to keep his job or her job, and they're not going to question, oh, why aren't you paying me? But when it gets to the point that you're saying to your employees, oh, you can't pay your rent this week, or you can't pay your electricity this week, or whatever like that. Oh, just do what we do and commit fraud, you know? It gets to the point that somebody that's working for you is going to lose their roof over their head. You're 100% responsible for that. And the response that I heard was given for paying the electricity bill, put it in fake names, and then after X amount of time change the fake name that it's in. That's fraud. And telling somebody that you're paying them from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock, $70. It's like $5 an hour or something. That's illegal. That's like refugee wages. And then after that, person doing that 6, 7 hours work, not paying them for it either, that's just laughing in their face. Yeah, there's very little that I can do about it. I like to think that there's more than just one person that's involved in this, that's been affected by this, and that they could all get together so that the amount that they're owed is actually worth taking through small claims or something like that. But if the person that owes them the money doesn't actually have the money, then what are you doing? Trying to get blood out of a stone? So it's a bit of a lost cause. But if you're working for someone and it's casual, I'd expect to get paid on like a day-to-day basis. If it is a shonky operation, negotiate a cash in hand amount and tell them that you'll do your own tax and everything like that. Because if you're going to go and do work for somebody casually or permanently or whatever, and you're not going to get paid for it, that's not doing work. That's being a volunteer, a slave. And if somebody else is eventually getting paid for that work that you did, and you're not getting paid for it, then why are you working for these people? After a week or 2 weeks, or this story that I know of has been going on for at least 3 months, you can't go back to work for these people. There's a weird shadow on my face, look. It's just the way this screen crap is on this. But I would just flat out refuse to keep going back to work, but they're so desperate to get the money that they're already owed after this time of working and being owed, that they'll keep going back, to the point where I was like, hey, why are you working for these people for free? It's not actually working, it's just costing you money. It's not hard to get a registered name and everything you need. It costs a little bit of money, but in Australia it's only about $160 to start from scratch and do everything legitimately. So 30 for ABN, 60 for a PTY LTD, another 60 for insurance. I think we got some rain. We got 10 million liability insurance, cost $68 a month. It was about 85 when we first started off, but after 3 years it goes down, and the value that they give you for what your stuff is goes up. So when we had the trailer incident, I probably could have claimed it on the business insurance, but the fact that it's saving me money each month, you know, that $15 a month adds up over the year, so that's also another growth in my business. But I know that I can't afford a permanent staff. I can't pay superannuation and all the things that a permanent staff has to pay. And that's why I've gone down the route of subcontractors in the past. And to see a startup business with 3 or 4 staff and they're all permanent and got uniforms and all that sort of thing, I was sort of questioned how it was possible when they were also charging a quarter of what somebody else charged. And lo and behold, if you don't pay your staff, then you can keep running for 3 to 6 months, it would appear. A big step to having an employee would be having the money behind you to actually pay your employee. If you're not going to do any work at all, if you're just going to sit at home and delegate jobs, I'd have a good year's wage sitting in the bank if you're going to have someone working for you, because the liability in an employee is just so high that you're probably going to have to pay him 6 weeks pay when he decides to quit on you anyway. So I'd only ever look towards having a casual staff, trying to keep it in the family and that sort of thing with my business. But when I've had staff and casual employees and subcontractors, they've been paid by the award wage. So that's like $23 to $35 an hour. And that's like the starting rate. So subcontractors supplying their own equipment start off $35, $36 an hour, plus an extra 15 or something for the first hour for like petrol and stuff like that, as well as a travel allowance. When you've got someone that's going around doing the job for half of the price of what a legitimate company is doing it, this is the reasons why people want to be paid the minimum wage. If you hire a lowballer, you're hiring somebody that's probably using slave labour. The person that did your gardening today, they're probably 2 weeks behind in their rent because the person that you paid for the gardening hasn't been paying them. Things like that, where when you've got a solo guy working for you, you know that he's solely committed to doing your job. He's getting paid 100% of what you pay to him, but he's not working for somebody that hasn't paid him for 3 weeks or something like that. You can guarantee he's done a good job. Here's Tina. Because that was Tina. She brings food. That's good. It also reminds me of if these people don't pay their workers and they don't pay for their amenities and services and rent, they most likely don't have insurance. And that's where the biggest lesson that I was to learn coming into business through watching YouTube and that sort of thing was from Dan's vlog. It'd be pretty easy to find the video. Says something like, I got a $3,800 bill for replace the client's air conditioning unit after I mowed the yard. And the gist of the story was the air conditioning unit had a hole in it and leaked the gas out. The next day they had an aircon repair guy come there and replace the unit at a cost of $3,800, and they forwarded the bill on to Dan and said, hope that you're a gentleman and you have insurance. And obviously Dan had insurance and he did it all by the book, but you go and do a $40 job, $50 job, even a $100 job, $200 job, $500 job, and get a $3,800 bill for an aircon unit because a rock went into it and damaged the condenser, which rots the whole thing off, basically. And there goes, the first quarter of a year because you didn't have insurance. It would probably cost you even more than that when the people sue you and everything else. And however they're going to get the money out of you, you're going to pay all the legal costs and the debt collector costs and everything like that, and it's just not worth it. I had people that didn't pay me, and it took one phone call from a debt collector and everything was paid within 48 hours. And I was thinking in hindsight, do I just add the cost of the debt collector onto their bill every time when I do a job for them in case I need to do it again? Yeah. There's ways and means of doing what you want to do in the world, but you don't want to have to fight with people to be paid for a fair day's work. And sometimes I blame Australia and school and all that sort of thing, where they say, hard hard day's work, you know, if you want something, you got to work hard for it. And I went to a business class and they said, a fair day's work, not a hard day's work, a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. So that meant you work as hard as what you get paid. So if you do a job at one place and they pay you X amount, and then you go to another place and they only pay you half of what the first place paid you, then you only work half as hard. I've never actually acted this theory out. I always just work full tilt, but I have like witnessed other people in the workforce acting out this theory, you know, working to their pay rate. And yeah, that's going off on a tangent a little bit there, but yeah, that's what I was always taught, was a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. And in school they always taught us a hard day's work, and if you work hard you'll get what you want eventually. And so these people think if they just keep going back and turning up every day, commend to them for turning up. That's the biggest problem I had with people working for me, is you have a whole day's work on for 2 people and then one person doesn't show up, and 7 a.m.'s a little bit too late to try and get somebody else to come and do the bloody 16 yards that you've got on. So that's why Tina's here. She can't sleep in. She's in the bed there, and I just, come on, we're going to work. And she hates it. She says, oh, you drag me along or whatever. But once she gets out there into it, you'll see in this next video of her whippersnipping, she loves it. Loves working the family business. And one day she can sit in a chair and boss some kids around, and they can go and mow the yards, and we can travel around Australia or something. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to slog it out so that I actually have the money to pay my staff when I have them, because that's the biggest key to having staff. Don't just get your mates to work for you and, you know, owe them all this money and, oh, they need a packet of smokes or whatever, so you're going to buy them a packet of smokes today from coming to work with you. You got to pay people properly. You can't just give them $5 or $10 an hour and think, oh, that's good enough because you didn't have any money before you came with me. But yeah, that's that one. I'll catch you in the next one.